Hi students, I'm Sonia from Vidya Guru, starting a new session on current affairs. This session is for the month of August 2021. I'm referring to. This session is going to be completely in English medium, as you guys can make out too. If you are willing to watch a session in Hindi medium, that is also there in the playlist. Go and actually check that session out if you are not comfortable with English medium. The English medium session is recorded primarily for our students from South India, is recorded primarily for our students from Northeast India. The students from Karnataka, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, those students who are unable to understand Hindi well, we record a separate session for them in complete English medium. If you spend, some time with me, if you watch the video till the end, I'm, giving you the assurance of this sort that you're going to see at least 3 or 4 questions in your exam from this video only. The questions are very, very important and very, very pertinent to your exam preparation, whichever government job exam or whichever competitive exam you're going to write. If that exam has the section of current affairs, this session is going to be beneficial for you. I put in a lot of efforts. Believe me, when I collect these points, I spend ample time. So I expect at least a like from you. You can share the video with your friends if you wish to, because that's how they'll be benefited. Because if such a session is actually reaching them, they'll be able to score some marks in their exams too. Subscribe to Vidya Guru's YouTube channel if you have not till now, because if you do that, you'll get the notifications of all the exam relevant videos which we upload by pressing the bell icon which is just beside the subscribe button. Okay, I'll start from here on. Be very focused. Try to learn each and every question. Whenever I teach, I really expect from my students that they are going to start their learning immediately. Okay. The first question is PM Gati Shakti. When such a thing is there, you can even understand that the question is going to be there in your exam for sure. The question is significant. It is basically a PM Gati Shakti master plan. PM Gati Shakti master plan unveiled. See, the relevant pictures are there. Probably I feel that, with pictures you'll be able to keep these questions in your mind for a longer period. 100 lakh crore is the outlay, 100 lakh crore is what they are willing to spend on PM Gati Shakti master plan. It is about national infrastructure, as in they are going to boost national infrastructure by PM Gati Shakti plan. If you wish to further enhance your knowledge, you can actually read the lower point which states that to increase industrial productivity and jobs, we all know that scarcity of jobs is there, unemployment is increasing. So to increase industrial productivity and jobs, they are actually launching this Gati Shakti plan. There's a possibility that in your exam you might see such a question. So I am saying that keep this question in your mind and let's move ahead. India's largest floating solar power project commissioned by NTPC. Now, what is important out here? The name of the company, which is actually the name of the organization, which is actually behind the creation of such a thing. What? India's largest. So something huge is happening here. India's largest floating solar power project, and started by NTPC. The name of the firm is important. 25 megawatt power project that it is. Not very, important. India's largest floating solar PV project. It is photovoltaic. PV is photovoltaic. They may ask you the full form. There's a possibility. So I've written it like that, photovoltaic project. If you are not able to retain this much information, just learn it. That India's largest floating solar power project is going to come up at Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. The project is Simadri project, going to come up at Visakhapatnam. Visakhapatnam is in Andhra Pradesh, and when I say the name of the company, that is also significant. So NTPC, India's largest floating solar power project. The name of the project, Simadri project. Location, I've told you, Visakhapatnam. So these are the important things. Let's move ahead. Okay, the next question is, try to relate it with the picture, because when you look at the picture, I feel that you will be able to retain it well. When I say National Monetization pipeline unveiled. Monetization. That means money is going to be generated. Money is going to be generated by doing something. What our government is planning to do now, I'm going to actually put up in front of you in easier terms that the target of the government is to generate 6 lakh crore rupees. The target of the government is to generate 6 lakh crore rupees. And how they are going to do that? They are going to monetize something. And what is that? They are brownfield projects. See, even in news, such things are already there. But from the point of view of your exam, what you need to learn, that's what I've actually kept here, so that you can learn them point wise. If you listen to the complete news, you'll not be able to understand what is to be retained for your exam. That's what I've written here. The first thing, 6 lakh crore to be generated by the government. By doing what? By this national monetization pipeline. First, what government is going to do? Government is going to monetize its brownfield projects. Brownfield projects in which government has invested the money. Government has invested the money. They are brownfield projects. Top 3 sectors under this are roads, are railways, are parts. So by actually monetizing these projects, government will be generating this much amount, and the duration for it is also set. It has been set for 4 years, like from 2022 to 25. 22 to 25, that's the duration they have set to generate this much amount. So what is it about? About the generation of the money. What projects are going to be, leased out? Brownfield projects. What are the top sectors? Railways, power and roads. I'll move ahead by that. So with this, the next question is, RBI imposes ATM cash out penalty. So understand that. You visit an ATM and you see no cash. It generally happens with all of us. But no penalty. A bank, is not charged with anything. Now RBI is imposing some penalty on that bank, because if the bank is there, bank has the ATM, and that's the responsibility of the bank to maintain cash in that ATM. If they are not doing so, they have to pay the penalty. What is it? Let's read it in detail. RBI is imposing ATM cash out, no cash penalty on the banks, not on us, don't worry. Cash out at ATMs of more than 10 hours a month to attract a penalty of 10,000 per ATM. That's huge. That's huge. If any ATM is there that runs out of the cash, they have, no cash, as we generally see. So if that ATM in the entire month remains cashless, as in no cash is there for more than 10 hours, they will attract the penalty of 10,000 in that case. So below 10 hours is all right in the entire month. So below 10 hours is all right. I'm saying if it increases, if it actually crosses the mark of 10 hours, then they'll be actually, paying the penalty over here. From 1st October 2021, it will be applicable. Learn everything, whatever is there on your screen, because I have not written anything irrelevant. Everything, whatever I mentioned here, is going to be there in your exam in one or the other way. Let's read the point here. India's Afghan evacuation mission. We all have heard about it. India's Afghan evacuation mission, as in those Indians who are there in Afghan, we have to bring them back. So how will that happen? India is running a project, as in a mission. The name of that mission is Operation Devi Shakti. If you are going to write an exam and that exam has the question that what is Operation Devi Shakti is about, if you have not watched the video, obviously you will not be able to answer that. But if you have watched the video as you have now, I believe you will be able to answer the question very easily, that Operation Devi Shakti is the evacuation plan of India. Like people from Afghan, those who are stuck there, they will be brought back in India by this mission. Let's move ahead. The question is significant. Learn that. The next question is, India's first water plus city. You have not heard such terms earlier. I know that it is something new, but I wish to tell you, if I have written it, if I have mentioned it, I really believe that the question is going to be there in your exam. The city is Indore. The city is Indore. And what is water plus city? Now let me explain that here. India's first water plus city under Swachh Sarvekshan Abhiyan, the city is Indore. What do I mean by saying, by calling it water plus city? What do I mean by saying that? It is mentioned here, the criteria. Dirty water should not go into any river or drain. That's what we do with our rivers. Dirty water straight away drains into the river. So the criteria, that means Indore is following such a thing. That is why dirty water should not drain into the rivers directly. The second thing is 30% of the sewer water must be recycled and reused. The water which is there in the sewer, it should be recycled, it should be reused. But how much? At least 30% of it should be recycled. You can obviously do it more. 30% should be recycled and reused. What I'm referring to is India's first water plus city. Indore has become that. Indore has become India's first water plus city. I hope you could have, understood that. When I talk about Chhattisgarh here, the news is significant because they are adding some more districts. The news is significant. We all know that. It carries, a lot of significance. New districts created in Chhattisgarh. That's the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh. The picture you are actually, looking at that is there on your screen. New districts. The name of those 4 districts, that's Mohla Manpur. Learn it. When I speak, you have to speak with me. Otherwise, you will not be able to retain it. Mohla Manpur, Sakti, Sarangarh, Bilaigarh and Mahendragarh. These are the 4 districts added by the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh. Number of districts now. See, if a question of this kind appears in your exam where they ask you what is the total number of districts in Chhattisgarh, I think you will not be able to relate that. Now you are watching the video. Now I know, you know the answer also. 32. What is going to be the total number of districts in Chhattisgarh? They are 32 now. That's the final number which has come up here. So if the question is asked in your exam, now you will be able to answer that. The next question is program to boost startup ecosystem. We all know what startups, are, what sort of businesses they basically are. So startup ecosystem program, that means I'm going to name the program which is Samrid. Samrid is associated with boosting of startup ecosystem. That means they are going to provide some sort of help to startups. When I actually have mentioned it in capital letters, that means it has some expanded form. So I'm going to tell you, one is S for startup. That is pretty easy. A for accelerator. Startup accelerators. M for MATI. Startup accelerators of MATI for product. It does not make any sense here, but that's what they have made. The full form is this only. And that is why R is kept in capital. So R is product. I is innovation, development and growth. Development and H of growth. That is Samrid. Let me repeat that. Startup accelerators of MATI for part innovation, development and growth. That's the full form. The full form can be asked in your exam. So learn it. Learn it carefully. That is Samrid. And what is Samrid about? S for startup, S for Samrid. Funding up to 40 lakh. See, if any startup is there, they require some money. So if they wish to establish a startup, they can get at least, not at least, up to 40 lakh. You cannot, think that you'll be getting 1 crore, 2 crores. It's not that. They are just giving 40 lakh, up to 40 lakh funding to those startups. Ministry of Electronics and IT is doing that. That is why the Minister Ashwini Vaishnav becomes important for us, because he is the Minister of Electronics and IT Ministry. Let's move ahead. The next question is fund for export oriented MSMEs. MSMEs we all know, micro, small, medium enterprises. So fund for export oriented, something related with export is taking place. That is why this EXIM comes into the picture. Fund for export oriented MSMEs, 250 crore fund for export oriented small mid-sized companies, that is Ubharte Sitare Fund. Look at the picture here. Nirmala Sitharaman is there. On the podium you can see it is clearly written Ubharte Sitare Fund, export oriented MSMEs. And who's actually providing this? By Export Import Bank and SIDBI. By Exim Bank and SIDBI. See who's providing this fund, that is important. If a scheme has been launched by someone, the name of the scheme is super important too. Let's move ahead. Now, the photo of a Paralympian is there on your screen. This Paralympian has done something. What is that? He was the flag bearer at Tokyo Paralympics. See, if I have taught you who was the flag bearer at the Olympics, then obviously I have to talk about the name of the flag bearer at Paralympics also. This fellow is a Paralympian himself. He is Tek Chand. If a question is there in your exam about Tek Chand, you will not be knowing that. But now you are very well aware who Tek Chand is. Tek Chand remained he actually did that. India's flag bearer. He became the India's flag bearer at Tokyo Paralympics. I have mentioned the name Tek Chand. Who Tek Chand is? Tek Chand is basically a javelin thrower and a shot putter. Javelin thrower and a shot putter, that is Tek Chand, and this Tek Chand he became the flag bearer at the Paralympics on India's side. Let's move ahead. Now, look at the question. Read the question on your own before I start it. Read it. India and Qatar joint naval exercise. Today we are going to talk about exercises. There are 2-3 more. One is between India and Qatar. See, the names of the nations are super significant. If they have kept the name of the exercise, that is also super significant. If there is a venue, it has to be, otherwise where will the exercise take place? Not on the tables all the time. The place is Persian Gulf. And ship, not very significant, but you can learn it. There is a possibility it will be asked in your exam. That is why I mentioned that. Now I've marked 4 questions in one page. What are they? Exercise. What sort of exercise? Naval exercise. Took place between India and Qatar. First question, between India and Qatar. Name of the exercise? Zair al-Bahar. Zair al-Bahar. That was the name of the exercise which took place between India and Qatar. The third thing, Persian Gulf. See, when a naval exercise is taking place, they require water to be present over there. So that is Persian Gulf, that remained the venue. For this, Zair al-Bahar. The fourth question, INS Trikhand. INS Trikhand is the name of the ship which participated on India's behalf. I'll move ahead to the next exercise. Now, you can read bilateral naval exercise. Bilateral, that means 2 nations took part in it. One is India and the other one is Bahrain. Bilateral naval exercise between India and Bahrain. Bilateral naval exercise took place at Manama. Manama is a place in Bahrain only. They require water. I am emphasizing it again. I am saying that Persian Gulf is the place where this exercise took place. If you want to know the area, that was Manama. Manama is in Bahrain only, and the ship which took part in this exercise with India and Bahrain, the name of that ship is INS Kochi. INS Kochi. Let's move ahead. Now, you'll be looking at another exercise, but you are familiar with this name. It is exercise Konkan, which takes place earlier as well. I am saying the name of the exercise is exercise Konkan. Took place between India and United Kingdom. Venue Portsmouth. It is not located in India, so obviously it had to be in UK. Portsmouth, UK. The ship which took part, that is INS Tabar. INS Tabar is the name of the ship which took part on India's behalf. I'm going to repeat that. An exercise between India and United Kingdom. The name of the exercise is exercise Konkan. The place Portsmouth, which is in United Kingdom. The ship took part on India's behalf, that is INS Tabar. The next question is, read the question on your own first. Constitution 105th Amendment Act. Constitution Act 105th Amendment. What is it about? It reinstates, it restores the power of the state governments. Are they giving them some, power which is super significant? Yes, it is, somewhat significant. The number is super significant. Constitution 105th Amendment Act 2021, which restores the power to identify and specify socially and economically backward classes, SEBCs, to state government. Earlier, it was the right of the central government probably. Now the responsibility has been given to the state government straight away, that they can identify socially and economically backward classes. They themselves can identify. So this power has been restored with the state governments only by this 105th Amendment. So the number is important. And what is this number about? It is about SEBCs and state governments. So learn that carefully. The next question is about Ujjwala scheme. Ujjwala, how important Ujjwala is, we all know that. I need not actually say that again and again. Ujjwala 2.0, that means 1.0 has already taken place. 1.0, that means the first edition of it. The second edition has been launched from Mahoba. Ujjwala 2.0 has been launched from Mahoba. Mahoba is in UP. When 1.0 has taken place, it had some target and they fulfilled some target. So what was that? Ujjwala scheme launched in 2016. Let's understand the background of it. You have heard about it, but the year is significant. At times it can be asked. So I am saying Ujjwala scheme was launched in 2016. First, LPG connections which were provided under this Ujjwala scheme, they were 8 crores. But under 1.0, read that carefully, 1.0. That means in the first edition, we distributed 8 crores LPG connections. That's what they claim. LPG connections under Ujjwala 2.0, that means the second edition, that is 1 crore. That's their target that they'll be doing. They'll be providing LPG connections under 2.0, Ujjwala 2.0, that's going to be 1 crore. Earlier, they are stating that they have, achieved the target of 8 crores. Even in this 2.0, they are mentioning something else. They say that Ujjwala 2.0 to also provide what? See, people are not very rich. We know that. They cannot afford, such connections. So they are saying that they'll provide first refill free of cost. They'll provide hot plate free of cost too. But only the first refill under this Ujjwala scheme. So learn that carefully. Let's move ahead. Now, National Education Policy, which was launched in 2020. Must be thinking, when it was launched in 2020, why I've started teaching about it now? Understand that when any policy is launched, which is obviously useful for the entire nation, there has to be some state which actually accepts it, earlier or prior to other states. So that first state matters a lot, no? So the first question is, first state to implement National Education Policy 2020, that is Karnataka. So Karnataka has become the first state. There are a few points which are written on the board. If you look at this picture, it has some features of National Education Policy, in which they'll be mentioning it, that Human Resource Ministry, which has become Ministry of Education, that has launched it. So you can read that if you wish to. But my point of view was that Karnataka has become the first state which has adopted National Education Policy 2020. So that was important from my point of view. That is why I focused on that question only. The next question is, first state to offer smart health cards. See, it is significant. Understand that. First state. It is, pretty advanced step which was actually taken by the Odisha government. They are actually distributing these health cards, smart health cards rather, and I've told you the name of the state as Odisha, and Odisha is distributing these cards to its citizens, obviously. Will cover 3.5 crore people under Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana. Okay, if a question is there in your exam where they ask you that where 3.5 crore citizens are going to be benefited by this health card, name of that scheme, name of that card. So the scheme is basically Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana. That's the name of the scheme. Under this scheme, the citizens of Odisha will be getting, the residents of Odisha will be getting this smart health card. Let's move ahead. Indian wetlands to Ramsar list. Ramsar is actually the name of the place. It is a place in Iran. But whenever we type Ramsar, the word gets replaced with Ramsar sites. That means there are sites by the name of Ramsar sites. Why I'm talking about this Ramsar sites in detail? The reason is, I'll start from the scratch. In 1971, there was a place in Iran, I told you, Ramsar, where the Ramsar Convention was signed. That Ramsar Convention was about the protection of preservation of wetlands. If you have not heard about wetlands, you've heard about biospheres, you've heard about national parks. So you should be aware of wetlands also. They remain flooded with water. They are wetlands. They have water, throughout the year. They have water occasionally also. The wetlands should be preserved because they have unique varieties of plants. They have unique varieties of animals also. So they are actually those areas which should be protected. So I'm saying the preservation of these sites have to be done. A treaty was signed in 1971. A convention was signed which is known as Ramsar Convention. Because of that Ramsar Convention, all the sites are known as Ramsar sites now. They are actually known as sites on wetlands too, to be very frank with you. It was signed in 1971, came into effect in 1975. Since then, India has also added, some wetlands, some Ramsar sites. Total Ramsar sites in India are 46 now. We are keep on adding. We'll add more also. It will get updated. But till now, we have 46 Ramsar sites in India. I am saying Indian wetlands added to Ramsar list. Understand the word wetlands here. I was referring to these wetlands only. So we have added few more wetlands. They are Indian wetlands added are Thol, which is in Gujarat. They may give you the name of this place and they'll ask you where this place is situated. If you have not, attended my session, you will not be able to answer that question. Vadhwana is in Gujarat too. It is also a wetland. Sultanpur is in Haryana and Bindavas is in Haryana too. So I am saying these are the 4 wetlands which got added recently. Now the tally of India of Ramsar sites have become 46 now. Super important question. See, we actually talk about these questions like Ramsar sites, like national park, like biospheres in our course, in our online program in detail. But I've given you, some idea through which you will be able to answer important questions which are related with Ramsar sites. Whenever you see a question about Ramsar sites, learn that, because that question is significant, remains super significant. Partition Horror Remembrance Day on 15th of August, our Prime Minister, while delivering this speech, he felt the need that on 14th of August we should actually celebrate such a thing where we'll be, remembering something, Partition Horrors Remembrance Day. So he said we'll be celebrating that. So what is it about? Partition Horrors Remembrance Day can also be called Vibhajan, because we got, partitioned, the India and Pakistan got, divided. So I'm saying Vibhajan, Vibhishika, Smriti Divas. We are recalling that horror to be observed on 14th of August. Just to remember that the day is significant because Prime Minister himself announced such a thing. Let's move to the other question. India's first e-vehicle friendly highway. Such a thing is first of its kind. That is why it is even more important for us. E-vehicle, some sort of a support is being provided on this highway. Yes, it is the same thing which is happening here. The name of that highway is Delhi-Chandigarh Highway, which is going to be India's first e-vehicle friendly highway. What they are providing over there? Why are we calling it e-vehicle friendly? Solar based electric vehicles charging stations set up under FAME 1. Under FAME 1. What is FAME 1? They are just providing a charging station on this highway. That's what I was trying to tell you. It has become the first of its kind. That is why you have to learn it, and under this charging station will be provided. This setup will be provided under FAME 1. Now FAME even has the full form. The full form is faster adoption. F is faster, A is adoption, M is manufacturing. Manufacturing of what? Manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles. Electric vehicles. So F faster, A adoption, M manufacturing, E electric. So what they are producing, what they are manufacturing? Electric vehicles under this FAME 1. See, the full form of FAME can also be asked. That is why I've written that. Read it carefully. Ministry of Heavy Industries is behind such a thing. That is why the Minister of Heavy Industries become important for us. The name of this fellow is Mahendra Nath Pandey. Mahendra Nath Pandey is the fellow. He is the Ministry of Heavy Industries. So learn his name carefully. The next question is, read the name, PM Daksh Portal. See, if a scheme is launched by the government of India, it is surely going to be asked in one or the other exam. So learn them even if you find them most boring. PM Daksh Portal and app launched. Daksh Portal. What has been launched here? Daksh Portal has been launched here. What is it about? It was actually launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It has been launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. When I mention the name of the ministry, I would love to tell you the name of its minister also. And the name of the minister is Dr. Virendra Kumar. Dr. Virendra Kumar is the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry. So I was saying, what is it about? Let's continue. First of all, the full form has the answer. Full form has the answer. I said PM Daksh is the portal, is the app launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. The minister is Dr. Virendra Kumar. I've mentioned that. I am saying the full form can be asked. PM is Pradhan Mantri. We all know that. Daksh is Dakshata. Daksh is Dakshata. So DA Daksh has the full form. That is Dakshata or Kushalta. Dakshata or Kushalta. We are actually talking about the skill enhancement. So Dakshata or Kushalta Sampann Hitgrahi. Hitgrahi. H stands for the Hindi word Hitgrahi. Even you understand, Daksh is the word in Hindi language. So I cannot actually tell you the full form is in Hindi only. So you have to learn it like that. H is Hitgrahi. S is Sampann. K is Kushalta. Kushalta means we are referring to the skills. Kaushalta, that is that. DA is Dakshata. K is Kushalta. So learn it, learn the full form. It is significant, can be asked in your exam. Let's move ahead. The next question is, new governors appointed. This is going to be the last question of the day. We are going to wrap up. So you have to be focused again. These are the new governors got appointed. One is La Ganesan. La Ganesan has been appointed the governor of Manipur. La Ganesan. See, such questions are asked in your exam. We are at the last question, but does not mean that this question is not going to be in your exam or this is least important. It is not. La Ganesan is the governor of Manipur now. Now, read the point carefully. There is a fellow. His name is B.D. Mishra. He is the governor of Arunachal Pradesh. B.D. Mishra is the governor of Arunachal Pradesh now. I am saying he has been given the charge of additional responsibility of Mizoram also. We all know that one person, one governor, one person can be the governor of more than one state at a time. So by that logic, because the constitution provides that provides that right. So the governor of Arunachal Pradesh, that is B.D. Mishra, is going to be the governor of Mizoram too. Is going to be the governor of Mizoram too. Like the video, press the like button, and thank you so much for watching.